guys, Brian Chikasa here from LateStack.io. And do you hate consistently having to reopen the same programs day in and day out? Do you hate going to the same website day in and day out, or being kind of reference the same things, just hate just clicking through all of the things that you need to do to get through a day, or starting a day when you get to the computer and you have to go start open all of your programs and documents and communications applications and so on and so forth? It takes up so much time. Or do you hate having to close all of these programs once you're ready to actually relax or play some video games, and you have to make sure all the processes are gone, you kill everything, and oh my god, that's so much time. And so if all of that sounds annoying to you, well, you're not alone, because I found it super annoying as well. And what we ended up doing was taking a public AutoHotKey script and actually repurposing the script to kind of follow my own workflow. And what we ended up doing here at LateStack is taking that same script and upgrading that script to take into account our workflow here at LateStack.io, and extended it to be able to support my own personal workflow and our Samurai's personal workflows. And so what I have described to you is what we have coined Shadowblade, and let's get right into it. Alright, so the way to trigger Shadowblade is by hitting the spacebar key and the caps lock key together, or the caps lock key and the spacebar key together, whichever is your preference. You'll trigger Shadowblade. Alright, so we're gonna get into the search function of Shadowblade, and the way I'm going to do that is by again hitting caps lock key and the spacebar key together, triggering Shadowblade. I'm gonna type in G for Google. I'm gonna hit space, and I'm gonna Google Getting Things Done, which is a book I particularly like. I read it on an annual basis. I'm gonna go ahead and hit enter. And Getting Things Done is up. So next we're gonna go into, let's say I want to search Amazon, because I am a Amazon holic, and hey, I like Amazon. So again, I'm gonna trigger Shadowblade, and this time I'm actually gonna type in AMA space. And you know what? I've decided to actually buy the book, Getting Things Done. So Getting Things Done. I'm gonna go ahead and hit enter, and Getting Things Done on Amazon. So the next piece is we're actually gonna get into YouTube. So I know a lot of us watch YouTube, and there's a video I particularly like watching on YouTube. It's a really funny video, which is microservices. So what I'm gonna do again is trigger Shadowblade. Again, I hit the caps lock key and the spacebar key together. I'm gonna type in Y for YouTube, hit the spacebar, and I'm gonna search for microservices. And first one right here, again, if you're in the product space and just enjoy humor around product services, and you're a developer, you will absolutely love this video. It's also eerily realistic. So next we're going to go into Thesaurus. As part of work and as part of what we do here at LateStack, we're always constantly trying to improve our terminology and our vocabulary, and using the Thesaurus is one of the key pieces. So I frequently go to the Thesaurus, and I'm going to, again, caps lock key, spacebar key, and I'm going to go ahead and type in DA for Thesaurus, space, and then, you know what? Let's find a word for client. So I'm going to type in client, bam. So we have applicant, buyer, consumer, patron, shopper, so on and so forth. And you can start refining these topics as you see fit. Now, the next one is LinkedIn. And I'm going to go ahead and close this or minimize this, and it runs regardless of if you have your browser open or closed. You can actually configure Shadowblade to run in your desired browser, but I'm going to go ahead and continue with Chrome because that's the current browser I have. And we're going to search LinkedIn, and you know, prompt. Let's say you have just connected with somebody new and hey, you want to cyberstalk them. Just kidding. So to not be weird and creepy, I'm gonna search for myself. So I'm gonna again trigger Shadowblade. I'm gonna type in LI for LinkedIn space, and let's type my name in, and here we go. Now another feature set, which is again bundled under the search functionality, is the Jira search function. We use our own instance of Jira, and chances are you probably are if you came from LinkedIn. Jira is a very popular application, task management application, and we use Jira here at BladeStack. So what I'm going to do is actually search our Jira instance. Again, I hit caps lock key and the spacebar key, and it's actually easily customizable to your instance, or any type of search functionality can be properly customized to fit your needs. But I'm going to type in B Jira, which is BladeStack's Jira, and BSIO, BladeStack.io, and I'm going to search for Shadowblade. And here we are, Shadowblade's open source video. All right, so next we're going to get into NIST and compliance search. So if you came from LinkedIn, chances are you'll maybe particularly more interested in, okay, what can Shadowblade do for NIST and compliance? Well, one of the most common things is we use Shadowblade here at BladeStack to search and reference a lot of the NIST material. Chances are if you're in the compliance space, you do the same. NIST keywords, CMVP, NIST definitions, and controls. So I'm going to go ahead and go through some examples, some pretty straightforward examples to kind of get hopefully ideas churning in everybody's head. But let's start with N key, which is NIST definition control keyword. I'm going to type in dynamic code analysis, and so the page has loaded, and it's going to show you everywhere where dynamic code analysis actually appears. So I'm going to do a quick search, dynamic code analysis. So bam, right there. Now there's other controls which are in scope for dynamic code analysis, but if you're looking particularly for dynamic code analysis, typically I hit Control F, use the search function, and bam. But I didn't have to open the web browser, navigate to the NIST website, look for dynamic code analysis, find dynamic code analysis. I sidestepped everything and went straight to where I wanted to go without having to do all of that additional stuff and save a lot of time. And so next we're going to go into the cryptographic modules validation program, which is the CMVP for short, and I'm going to search for a cryptographic module, and I'm going to use one in particular to kind of demonstrate what Shadowblade can do and the extensibility that Shadowblade actually offers, because this is something you can go do by yourself as well. And so what I'm going to do now is again trigger Shadowblade. Now I'm going to type in CMVP space. Now we're gonna search CMVP, and you know what? I want to search for Ubuntu. So we've searched Ubuntu, but hey, no certificates match the search criteria. Does Ubuntu just not have a CMVP? Well, that's actually incorrect, because the vendor is actually Canonical, and hopefully I pronounced that correctly. The module name is Ubuntu, so I'm gonna go ahead and swap that, and boom, right there. Now it's actually easily customizable, and we're actually going to update the feature set to be able to have some logic in terms of searching. But you know, if I wanted to go ahead and actually edit this is a quick bonus round. Is again, I'm going to hit caps lock and spacebar, and I'm going to go ahead and hit edit. What that's going to do is load up the actual script where you can actually look for the actual code. And I'm gonna look for CMVP right there, and you can see we're actually searching based off of the current vendor, whereas the current module is actually Canonical. So I'm gonna go ahead and just briefly show you what we're doing here. Is I'm gonna copy this and paste this in here. I'm gonna fast forward this part. Now I sped through all of the adjustments I made, and what I'm going to now show is I'm going to reload my script, which is REL will reload the script. So if you just made some adjustments to your script, go ahead, reload the script. So now I've reloaded the script and I've adjusted the script to actually look for the module name in the search as opposed to the vendor name. So I'm going to go ahead and trigger Shadowblade by hitting caps lock key and the spacebar key. Hopefully we know that by now. And let's type in CMVP and Ubuntu. And as we can see, we are now searching the module name as opposed to the vendor name. So either or, typically we do search the module name. So I may actually keep the current script to look for the module name as we release it for the public, but it can be extended to search for both, and you can start putting some logic in there, but that's most likely a feature set that's going to be coming later on. All right, so next is NIST definition. In our line of work, we're consistently ensuring our definitions align with the standards by NIST, and I'm gonna again trigger Shadowblade. I'm not gonna say which keys I hit now because I've said that multiple times. And now I'm gonna go ahead and type in NDEF, which is NIST definition, hit space, and I'm gonna search for identity. And as you can see, every term that NIST has defined with the word identity in front of us. All right, so the next feature set is the translator. We use this, or at least I use this a lot, as you may or may not have guessed by now. BladeStack, we are heavily a cyber samurai themed / cyberpunk themed company. We go all in. So a lot of times we are consistently translating terms to Japanese. I probably should learn Japanese at this point in time. That's on my to-do list. But for now, I have the functionality of Shadowblade to actually translate for me, essentially using Google Translate. But again, efficiency is key. So what I'm going to be searching for is translating English to Japanese. I'm going to use our team member, Matthew. So I'm going to type in Matthew, hit enter, and let's hit play. Matthew. Awesome. Okay. So Matthew, clause. Actually, let's go. I'm actually curious. Clause. Matthew, kurasu. Awesome. So that's our translator functionality built in. Again, this can be changed to any language. All right, so next we're going to get into running and killing applications. This is probably my second favorite feature. The first favorite feature is the next feature we're going to get into, but this comes in second place, at least for me, which is running and killing applications. If there's one thing I'm always doing is opening applications for whatever I need to do, typically Outlook, Teams, I know, Slack or what have you, or even actually websites, meaning we've already seen the search functionality, but that search functionality can be extended to your personal web application or Google services. So we're going to get into some examples just to kind of get our brains churning. But let's start with running and killing some simple applications to kind of give the audience an understanding of what we actually can do. All right, so getting into running and killing applications, we're first going to start with actually calling the application, prompting application. If the application is actually already running, it's going to bring the application to the front so you know exactly where it is. And so I have two super ultra wide monitors and I easily lose track of where my windows are. Again, I know, first world problem. However, the ability to call the application up and bring it to the forefront is a lifesaver. And so if I'm on a call and someone's pinging me, I can immediately move the actual application to the forefront. And we're gonna go through some examples. So let's start with Slack. Let's say I am on a call or I'm doing something else or I'm focusing and I see that little red icon next to Slack. So I know someone has either DM'd me or has notified the entire channel or the workspace. So hey, I have some time. I'm gonna take a look at what the notification is. But I have everything in front of me. I have application running. I have everything just where I need it to be and I don't really know where Slack is, or I'm typing and I do not want to move my mouse over to Slack. So what I'm going to do is actually, again, type in SLAK Slack, bam, we are in front of Slack. Now, let's say I'm done and I want to get rid of Slack. I'm gonna go ahead and trigger Shadowblade and type in, you know what? Kill Slack. That kills the process. That does not just minimize the application, completely gets rid of it. Again, example, let's start with Teams. So Teams is already running, and as you can see, I was sending some memes, but you know what? One of the favorite things I like to do is actually type in kill Teams. All right, but let's say if Teams is not running and Slack is not running, so what do? Easy. Logic's already built into the actual application where I can just type in Teams. It's going to start loading Teams up. And then let's say I want Slack, and it's going to go ahead and start loading Slack. Easy peasy. And now let's kill Slack, kill Teams. Easy peasy. And so you can do this with any application. I have Out for Outlook. I have Code for VS Code. I have Term, TERM for my Windows terminal. I have Kindle for Kindle. I have Nest to load up my actual Nest because sometimes I'm too lazy to walk over and change the thermostat. I know, again, first world problems. And so now we're gonna get into my favorite part of Shadowblade, which is Workspace Automation, which essentially automates my workspace. What that really means is, let's say I am ready to start for the day. I sit down and it's time to work. I simply trigger Shadowblade and I type in work apps. I sit back, give it a moment, and I'll have a B-roll running over this time segment. And what you're gonna see is Shadowblade is going to load up all the applications that I need to have for work and place those applications to the exact window where I need it to be via Power Tools, and I'm ready to work. And equally, let's say I'm done working and I'm ready to play some games. I'm gonna go ahead and trigger Shadowblade and type in kill apps, G for game. Sit back, all the processes, dummy processes, all gone. It loaded up my thermals, so I know my thermals and how hot my computer gets. And basically all the processes that'll bog down your system and your RAM, gone. And now I'm ready to play whatever I want to play. All right, guys, so that's Shadowblade in a nutshell. We're going to continue to maintain Shadowblade, make updates to the code, and actually release additional features as I mentioned during the entire video. But if you have any questions or comments about Shadowblade, please drop your comments down below and we'll do our best to get to each and every comment. But I can't promise you I'll get to every comment, but I'll try my best. And so stay tuned for our next videos, which will be going into Rev 5 and actually also providing everybody a sneak peek and conversation on FedRAMP authorization boundaries. You don't want to miss that one.